In a quiet riverine village in Africa, known for its serene waters and vibrant fishing culture, a peculiar girl was born. Her name was Adaora, and from the moment her cries filled the air, a dark cloud seemed to hang over her family. "She's beautiful," whispered her mother, Nena, cradling the baby. But when her father, Uchenna, leaned in to kiss her, he suddenly staggered back, clutching his chest. A mysterious illness overcame him. For weeks, the family noticed a chilling pattern. Anyone who gazed directly into Adaora's eyes fell gravely ill. Some recovered after days of feverish suffering, but others weren't as lucky. "She's cursed," murmured the elders, their voices heavy with fear. Her parents were heartbroken but determined. They discovered they alone were immune to the curse and resolved to shield her from the world. Growing up, Adaora lived in isolation. Nena turned their small hut into a classroom, teaching her daughter everything she could. Outside, Adaora would peek through the windows, watching children run, laugh, and splash water by the riverbank. "Mama, why can't I play with them?" Adaora asked one day, her voice trembling. Nena hesitated. How could she explain to a child that her very presence was dangerous? "The world isn't ready for you yet, Adaora. One day they will understand." But Adaora was restless. She longed for friendship, for laughter, for the life she saw outside those walls. One day, after weeks of pleading, Adaora's parents gave in. Nena crafted a makeshift mask from an old cardboard carton, cutting small holes for her daughter's eyes and securing it with string. "This will keep everyone safe," her mother said. "Promise me you won't take it off." Adaora nodded eagerly. For the first time in her life, she would go to school. The first day was worse than Adaora imagined. The moment she stepped into the schoolyard, whispers erupted. "Why is she wearing that carton on her head? She looks like a scarecrow. Maybe she's hiding a monster face." Adaora kept her head low, clutching her books tightly. But no matter how much she ignored the taunts, the laughter stung. Among the students were a group of bullies led by Ikenna, the village chief's son. Known for his cruel pranks, Ikenna saw Adaora as his next target. "Hey, Carton girl," he shouted one afternoon, cornering her by the riverbank. "Why don't you take off that box and show us your face? Or are you hiding something ugly?" The other children laughed, but Adaora shook her head, tears streaming beneath her mask. "Please leave me alone." Days turned into weeks, and the bullying escalated. Ikenna and his gang would snatch Adaora's books, trip her in the halls, and mock her relentlessly. Then one fateful day, they cornered her again. This time, they were determined to see what she was hiding. "Hold her down," Ikenna ordered. "No, please don't," Adaora screamed, struggling against them. With a cruel laugh, Ikenna ripped the carton mask from her face. For a moment, everything went still. Adaora's face was revealed, her eyes wide with fear. The bullies stared at her, and then it began. Ikenna clutched his throat, gasping for air. Another boy collapsed to the ground, writhing in pain. One by one, the children who had taunted her fell ill, their screams echoing through the schoolyard. The remaining students fled in terror, their cries carrying over the river. Adaora stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. She hadn't wanted this. She hadn't wanted anyone to get hurt. News of the incident spread quickly. The elders called a meeting, their voices filled with panic. "This girl is a danger to us all," one shouted. "She must be sent away." Nena and Uchenna begged for mercy. "She's just a child," Nena pleaded. "This isn't her fault." But fear had taken hold of the villagers. They demanded Adaora be taken to the forbidden forest, a place where no one dared to enter. As night fell, Adaora sat in her hut, her parents packing supplies for their forced journey. Suddenly there was a knock at the door. An elderly woman, known as Mama Ebele, entered. She was the village's wisest healer and keeper of ancient secrets. "I know what haunts your daughter," Mama Ebele said. "Her curse is tied to the river spirits. They are angry, but there is a way to make peace." "What must we do?" Nena asked desperately. "You must take her to the river's heart," Mama Ebele replied. "There, she will discover the truth of who she is." Before dawn, Adaora and her parents set off with Mama Ebele. The villagers watched silently as they disappeared into the dense forest, whispers of curses and doom following them. As they approached the river's heart, the air grew heavy, the water shimmering with an otherworldly glow. "What's happening?" Adaora whispered. "The spirits are watching," Mama Ebele replied. "Be strong, child." At the river's heart, a towering figure emerged from the water, a glowing spirit with eyes like fire. "Why have you disturbed our peace?" the spirit thundered. Mama Ebele stepped forward. "This child is cursed by your wrath. Tell us why." The spirit gazed at Adaora, its expression softening. "She is no ordinary child. She is one of us, born with a power too great for the mortal world, but mortals have tainted her destiny with fear and hatred." "What must I do?" Adaora asked, her voice trembling. "To control your power, you must accept who you are," the spirit said. "But know this, your journey is far from over." The glowing spirit waved its hand, and the river began to swirl around them. A powerful voice echoed, "To accept your true self, you must face the pain of your past." Suddenly, Adaora was transported to a strange realm. She found herself in the schoolyard, reliving the moment the bullies tore the carton from her face. This time, she saw every detail, the fear in their eyes, the chaos, and her own anguish. "You cannot run from this, Adaora," the spirit's voice boomed. "Do you accept the pain you've caused, even if it was unintentional?" Tears streamed down Adaora's face. "I never wanted to hurt anyone," she whispered. "I only wanted to belong." The vision shifted, and Adaora saw herself standing in a different village. People surrounded her, not with fear, but with reverence. They knelt, offering gifts and praising her name. "This is your future," the spirit said, "a leader, a protector, a bridge between worlds. But first, you must learn to control your power." Adaora's heart raced. "How do I do that?" "By understanding that your strength is not a curse, but a gift," the spirit replied. "The power of your gaze can harm, but it can also heal. Will you take this journey?" "I will," Adaora said, determination replacing her fear. When Adaora awoke, she was back by the river's heart. Mama Ebele and her parents were by her side, their faces filled with hope. "What happened?" Nena asked. "She's ready," Mama Ebele said with a knowing smile, "but her path will not be easy." As they returned to the village, Adaora noticed something strange. The villagers who had been sick after looking at her were now recovering. The curse seemed to have lifted slightly, as though the spirits had given her a second chance. Word spread that Adaora had been to the river's heart, and the bullies who had tormented her began to feel uneasy. Ikenna, still weak from his encounter with her, started hearing whispers in his dreams, haunting voices calling his name. One night, as he walked by the river, the water seemed to rise unnaturally high. A figure appeared. It was not Adaora, but something far more terrifying. A guardian spirit sent by the river confronted him. "You have wronged one of our own," the spirit said, its voice booming. "Your cruelty has consequences." Ikenna fell to his knees, begging for forgiveness. The spirit's eyes glowed brightly. "The choice is not mine. It is hers." The next day, Ikenna and his gang appeared before Adaora, trembling with fear. The entire village watched as he knelt before her, pleading. "I'm sorry, Adaora," Ikenna said, tears in his eyes. "Please forgive me." Adaora looked at him, her heart conflicted. She remembered the pain he had caused her, but she also saw a chance to rise above it. "I forgive you," she said, her voice steady, "but know this. If you harm anyone else, the spirits will not be as merciful." The villagers gasped. Adaora's words carried a weight that no one could ignore. As time passed, Adaora embraced her destiny. She became the village's protector, using her gaze not to harm, but to heal and guide. She learned to summon the spirits when danger loomed and became a bridge between the human world and the river's power. The villagers, once fearful of her, began to respect her. They sought her wisdom, leaving offerings by the river in gratitude. But Adaora knew her journey was far from over. Whispers of an even greater threat reached her ears, a shadowy figure who sought to exploit her power for their own gain. Months passed, and Adaora's presence brought peace to the village, but the whispers of a shadowy figure persisted. Travelers spoke of a powerful man, known only as Ezenwa, who was amassing followers and using dark magic to enslave villages. Ezenwa heard of Adaora and her ability to command the spirits of the river. He sought her out, not to learn from her, but to control her. One fateful evening, as the villagers celebrated a bountiful harvest, an ominous storm rolled in. The river, usually calm under Adaora's watch, churned violently. A stranger appeared at the edge of the village, his eyes glowing with malevolent energy. "I've come for the river girl," Ezenwa declared, his voice booming. "She will kneel before me, or your village will burn." Adaora stepped forward, her parents and Mama Ebele urging her to stay back. But Adaora knew she could not hide. "You may have power, Ezenwa," Adaora said, her voice steady, "but it pales in comparison to the spirits of the river." Ezenwa laughed. "Let's see if your spirits can protect you from this." He raised his hands, summoning a dark mist that began to consume the village. Adaora closed her eyes and called upon the river's guardians. The water rose, creating a protective barrier around the villagers. As Ezenwa's mist clashed with the river's force, the ground trembled. The two powers were evenly matched, and Adaora knew she had to act quickly. She dove into the river, merging with its essence. The water became an extension of her body, swirling and crashing with incredible force. Ezenwa, realizing he was losing, drew a dagger infused with dark magic. He hurled it toward the villagers, aiming to strike fear into Adaora's heart. Without hesitation, Adaora redirected the river's current, shielding the villagers. But in doing so, she left herself vulnerable. Ezenwa unleashed a final attack, sending a wave of dark energy towards her. The river roared and the spirits appeared, surrounding Adaora. They offered her a choice: unleash the full power of the river and destroy Ezenwa, but at the cost of her human life, or retreat and let the village face its fate. "I choose the village," Adaora whispered. With her decision, the river exploded in a blinding light. The spirits consumed Ezenwa, erasing him from existence. The storm ceased and peace returned to the village. But Adaora was gone. The villagers mourned Adaora's sacrifice, but they also celebrated her bravery. The river became a sacred place, and her name was etched into their history. People from far and wide came to honor the river girl who had given everything to protect her people. But Adaora's story didn't end there. Deep within the river, her spirit lived on. She became one with the water, guiding and protecting the village for generations to come. And on quiet nights, when the moonlight touched the river's surface, the villagers swore they could hear her voice, a gentle reminder that even the greatest curses can become the greatest blessings.